I see people every day in my life who you can tell by their very demeanour and by the look in their eyes they need a bit of love and they need a bit of help, and sometimes it's very difficult to even offer it because they're so paranoid they will reject the helping hand. But I mean, for somebody to be criminalised purely because of their illness or their sickness it's a bad situation. I think one of the problems is that when it comes to the criminality, I think what needs to be separated is the addict or the alcoholic or the person in addiction has to be separated from the criminal behaviour of some people who are in addiction. And they're two separate things. Well, in my own personal case, I was well into the gargle before I became a full-time singer. Like I worked for 3 years as a bank clerk, and even before that, as a young fella growing up in Newbridge, I got into the drink very, very early on. But I would have been very, very anti-drugs until probably I was about 30, until I got my first joint and I first experienced that high. I would have been really down on anybody who even smoked a spliff. But then coming towards the end of the 60s and into the 70s, you became aware of the fact that people were smoking hash and you know, but I certainly didn't encounter any heavier Class A drugs until much later. I certainly encountered cocaine for a period of my life, and there was a period of my life when I would have been very familiar with it. Like, I had a heart attack, and I thought I said, well, that's it now. That's me sorted. I'm going to give up. But within a very short period of getting out of hospital, I was back on that road again, and that's when I knew I was beaten. If a heart attack's not going to stop me, I need help. I'm in trouble. I mean, I was blessed in that it was a brother of mine who showed me the way. I can't talk about Irish society as such because there are all sorts. You know, we're made up of all kinds of different strands and strains. And there are some people who have a very narrow view and will push people away and will say serves them right. And there are other people who will reach out with compassion. Yeah, I think we need to try and take more care, you know, to try and embrace those who seem to be just falling through the cracks of our society. Not to be always turning the other way, to try and offer a little bit of compassion at every level, from government right down to us walking down the street. These kind of conversations maybe the start. I mean, we repealed the 8th. This is where it started. I mean, it was an amazing day for Ireland with that amendment, with the repeal of the 8th. And I think it did show that when we do have conversations about these huge issues, and when it becomes as important as the repeal of the 8th did, that we can make decisions, we can come together with compassion and listen to both sides of the story and make our decision, you know. Whereas before, we kind of always voted the way we were told to vote, be it by church or by state. But now we are more open-minded, and I'd like to think that if this conversation can be broadened out, that our attitudes can change, you know, and that we can become more caring and more compassionate towards our brothers and sisters, our children.